Hello to all astrology enthusiasts. In this video, I want to discuss the influence of Mercury's energy as it transits through the zodiac sign Cancer until June 26 for all 12 zodiac signs. We look at which houses of the horoscope this transit occurs in, how the energies manifest, which areas of life they affect, and how to ground these energies to your advantage. Let's get started. Aries. Mercury in Cancer is moving through your fourth house of the horoscope, activating themes related to family, home environment, relationships with parents, roots, ancestry, family history, issues of inner security and emotional balance, specifically in the place where you live. It also brings up any housing matters, relocation, renovations, as well as topics of memory, family archives, and family conversations. And for you, this transit will create situations, for example, related to conversations within the family or returning to the past. Moreover, considering that this is the sign of Cancer, you will be drawn precisely to themes of memory, emotions, and the past. There will be a desire to talk with loved ones, relatives, and parents about family matters and stories, to recall certain situations related to the family, or to discuss old grievances and reconsider family traditions. That is, here very deep conversation with parents or children are possible, as well as a rethinking specifically of family histories. You might also feel the need to put together your family tree, to organize family archives or old photographs. There will be situations involving discussions about housing issues. This could mean corresponding with landlords, making plans to move, buying or selling property, renovations, improving the home, possibly discussing the division of responsibilities within the family, or creating a cozier atmosphere at home. In other words, you want to bring order and structure specifically to your home environment. In order to ground this energy, it's important to pay attention to all matters related to the home. By the way, you can do this through writing practices as well. For example, you could keep records of family stories, a sort of family journal, if it's relevant for you to write down memories, feelings about home, or your reflections on your family history. It's important to create coziness in your home, in the place where you live. If there are any family conversations happening, it's important to listen without judgment, without evaluation, and to engage in deep discussions with family members. Working with the earth is also a great way to ground your energy. For example, gardening, planting, or traveling to your homeland, the place where you were born. You can also do various meditations focused on family history, and of course fewer gadgets, less noise, and more focus specifically on family matters and relationships. I wish you success. Taurus. For you, Mercury in the sign of Cancer is moving through the third house of your horoscope, which relates to everyday communication, correspondence, short conversations, contacts, and interactions with siblings or even neighbors. Any short trips, transportation, logistics, topics related to learning, presenting information, or gathering data, all of this, including writing, speaking, using your voice for work, and public speaking. Everything connected to processing information will be your top priority during this transit. Keep in mind that Mercury is the planet of thinking, and here it is right at home, in the third house of the horoscope. And during this transit, you may find yourself in situations where you have conversations with those close to you, but these talks will be filled with personal undertones and emotions. So it's not just about discussing facts here, but rather about memories, perhaps some family topics, heartfelt correspondence with friends or childhood friends, or you might feel the urge to reconnect with people who are kindred spirits. So conversations become more caring, even intimate in everyday life. You might find yourself wanting to explore topics related to psychology or your family history and lineage. In other words, an interest in the past may awaken and you want to learn something about your ancestry, your family history, or your roots. Or maybe you want to start collecting family stories, reading biographies, studying mythology, or engaging in some kind of psychological therapy, for example, through conversation or writing. You might develop an interest in studying psychology, or perhaps starting a blog online. As for travel, for instance, you might feel like visiting your hometown or places connected to your roots. For example, you might visit your grandmother or grandfather, walk down the streets of your past, so to speak, visit relatives, and all of this will be accompanied by a certain sentimental undertone. There may be conversations with brothers and sisters, with neighbors, and some old topics or unresolved conflicts might resurface. And now is exactly the time when these can be resolved constructively. Moreover, these will be very deep emotional conversations. And in order to ground this energy, it's good to engage in writing practices, to pursue learning, focus on self-development, read literature, study foreign languages, and do writing exercises to bring out, so to speak, unnecessary or suppressed emotions. It's also good to pay attention to your close relatives, your immediate circle, to go on trips or walks and, so to speak, to keep an eye on information flows, because there will be a lot of information. I wish you success. See you. Gemini. Mercury's transit through Cancer is happening in your second house of the horoscope. These are topics of financial stability, income, personal resources, any material assets, your system of priorities, your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, and your values. In addition, it's about ways of earning money, handling finances, and any energy that is invested specifically in the material support of your life. Here, it's about your emotional attitude toward your money and your comfort. This is about the skills that bring you income. And it's especially good if this is somehow connected to working with your voice or speech. So Mercury in Cancer will create situations for you where you need to reconsider your finances, not just as numbers, but specifically as a reflection of your inner sense of security. You might analyze your spending. For example, what do you buy to feel safe? Or what gives you a sense of coziness, yes, in terms of things. Conversations about money with loved ones are possible, as well as discussions about the family budget or purchases for your home. There may be situations here where you start earning new income, specifically through emotional involvement. For example, cooking, say a cooking blog, or home comfort, or some kind of psychological counseling, helping professions, working with children, or caring for other people. You might feel a desire to earn money doing something that truly touches your soul. You might come up with ideas for selling handmade items, for example, or offering online services, blogs related to home and care, or you may recall ideas from your childhood, things you wanted to do when you were little. Considering that Mercury is about voice and communication, in the second house, this is a clear indication that speech is your resource during this transit, and you may realize that your words can bring you income. This could be monetizing a blog, offering consultations, teaching, or storytelling. Here, it's important to truly understand and recognize that your speech and your thoughts should not be devalued or dismissed. And it's also crucial to realize even more so that what you say or do in your daily life shouldn't be automatic. Rather, it should be accompanied by genuine emotion and feeling. There may also be situations where you begin to question, reflect on, and wonder about what is truly valuable and meaningful to you in your life. And maybe why you earn little and what is preventing you, for example, from earning more. And in order to ground this energy, pay special attention to the financial side of your life. Work on your budget, your income and expenses, and explore new sources of earnings. You can develop financial literacy as well as skills and abilities that will bring you more money and strengthen your value. In any case, I wish you success. Cancers. Mercury is moving through your sign, passing through your first house of the horoscope, and this is all about self-expression and presenting yourself. This is about your personal opinion, your manner of speaking, your identity, and your sense of self-worth. It's the beginning of new mental initiatives, a new mental cycle in your life. It's about your attitude toward your body, your voice, your image. Spontaneous ideas and desires may arise, and the way you perceive and process information may change. For example, when Mercury passes through this house of the horoscope, there will also be an emotional undertone, because after all, this is the energy of the zodiac sign Cancer. And here, the transit will create situations where you will want to communicate more, especially about personal topics. These will be conversations colored by emotions, memories, and a gentle tone of voice. You'll feel the urge to express yourself, to share your inner feelings, to voice things that were previously hidden very deep inside. It may also manifest as a increased need to be heard by others. Additionally, this transit will help you take a look at how you communicate and how much your voice actually reflects your inner self. How do you respond? What tone do you use when you speak? You might, for example, change your manner of speaking or become softer and more thoughtful. In other words, there will be a certain emotional depth present here. You may even feel like creating a new image for yourself, not just visually, but also in the way you present yourself to others. Overall, there will be heightened mental activity, which is connected to your personal projects and any new undertakings. There will be a flow of thoughts, ideas, desires, the urge to write, speak, share personal stories, maybe start a blog, a diary, a channel, or make some notes. And here, what's important is how you intuitively and emotionally perceive information, specifically through the lens of your feelings. And here, it's important to keep track of any ideas distinguishing which ones are truly important to you and which ones are, let's say, more temporary. And make sure to record them. There will also be heightened sensitivity to how others perceive you. After all, this is the first house of the horoscope. You might feel the need to talk about childhood memories or inner feelings. Perhaps you find yourself telling stories about yourself through the lens of parental experiences, family histories, or, so to speak, emotional traumas. To ground this energy, it's important to focus on your self-work, on your thinking, your speech, and your voice. You can also write all of this down. Any ideas, any streams of information will now bring you a lot of insight. I wish you success. See you soon. Lions. Mercury in Cancer is transiting through your 12th house of the horoscope. And this is about the subconscious, about dreams, about our hidden thoughts and fears, about solitude, inner dialogue, and loneliness. Here you can practice meditation, engage in various spiritual practices, bring important life processes to a close, let go, forgive, analyze your secret connection, say, in personal relationships or any behind-the-scenes conversations. Intuition works very well here and empathy is heightened. Psychological work is also effective, for example, with the help of a psychotherapist or by working through certain ancestral patterns from the past. It would be beneficial to voluntarily go into seclusion, isolate yourself, and, so to speak, remain silent in order to delve deeper into yourself and uncover some important information during this transit, and it will undoubtedly affect your emotions. Situations may arise here where you feel drawn to silence and want to spend time alone with yourself. Our conversations, so to speak, become internal. They're directed toward a dialogue with ourselves, with our intuition. Because of this, you won't feel much like expressing yourself outwardly or sharing your thoughts publicly. Instead, you'll want to turn inward to your own inner world. Certain memories may surface, or so to speak, ancestral memory. All of this can happen through dreams, through signs. Certain events from the past may emerge or resurface. Some images, phrases, or symbols may appear, and all this brings up a certain layer of information that may be connected to your family history, to your lineage. During this transit, there may be secret correspondence, some kind of confidential communication, conversations, or perhaps some unspoken words will finally be said. Or maybe some things left unsaid will come to the surface in your personal relationships, and secrets will undoubtedly be revealed. Some information that has been hidden for a very long time will now, so to speak, be illuminated for you. Any information from the subconscious that comes to you during this transit will provide you with certain insights and revelations, new understandings, and perhaps because of this you might want to sleep more in order to have such lucid dreams. In other words, your mind will be focused on analyzing this information that comes from within. In order to ground this energy, it is important to pay attention to yourself, to seek solitude, to go into silence. You might even take a solo trip to spend time alone with yourself. You can engage in writing practices, meditation, or read some literature, even esoteric literature, that will reveal this hidden information and allow you to become aware of it. It's also helpful to engage in creative activities in order to work through suppressed emotions, since after all, Mercury is in Cancer. I wish you success. See you soon. Virgo, Mercury in Cancer. It is transiting through your 11th house of the horoscope. This is about friendships, about communicating with like-minded people. These are topics related to groups, communities, team projects, and informal associations. The 11th house also touches on our goals, long-term desires, dreams when we strategically plan far into the future. The 11th house also covers themes of charity, volunteering, and any kind of social activity that benefits a large number of people. Here, intellectual and emotional connections within a group can also be formed. For example, you might develop an interest in astrology, esotericism, or certain online projects that allow you to activate, so to speak, your mental activity. Support from friends and colleagues, conversations about the future, joint projects, having discussions about your life mission. And this transit will create situations where you have heartfelt conversations with friends, with people from groups or collectives you are part of. You may notice that ordinary conversations turn into genuine revelations. And because of this, your connections may deepen or become stronger. For example, a relationship with a casual acquaintance could grow into a true friendship. There will be online conversations, online acquaintances, heartfelt chats where we communicate a lot, where we receive some support or show care through words and emotions. Old friendships may be rekindled. There will be situations where you discuss your plans and dreams for the future, for example, with your friends. You can receive good support specifically by participating in group activities or in some charitable projects. Where there are many social connections and contacts. By the way, you can also launch online projects related to topics like home, psychology, family care, or women's themes, for example, creating cozy communities focused on women's issues. Or you can start blogs or podcasts In other words, you'll be able to share information that brings people together into communities, especially by doing this online. In order to work with this energy to your advantage, you need to pay attention to these areas of life related to the 11th house. You can jot down ideas, do writing exercises, and record your new dreams, desires, and ambitions for the future. You can meet new people, communicate a lot, launch various initiatives and projects aimed at a large audience, and in general, actively participate in group activities for the common good. I wish you success. See you soon. Libra, Mercury's transit through Cancer is happening in your 10th house of the horoscope, which relates to your professional activities, career, and reputation. These are matters of responsibility, social status, and your interactions with colleagues or management, as well as influential people. Here, there is a focus on planning career advancement or some public appearances that affect your image. Also, the 10th house governs our relationships with parents, especially with the mother or with an official marriage partner. And in the 10th house, we also focus on balancing our work and personal life. So Mercury in Cancer in your 10th house will create situations where there will be discussions and negotiations specifically related to your career. And moreover, this will be accompanied by an emotional undertone. That is, you might be discussing a new position or talking about starting your own business or having conversations with management. And you'll want to express your thoughts with particular attention to the emotional atmosphere, meaning you'll be mindful of the mood and attitude of those you're speaking with. Situations related to planning and reorganizing your work in general go well, especially if your work involves large teams. During this transit, you may reconsider your methods or tools related to your professional activities. There will be a lot of communication with management, superiors, and influential people. In addition, there may be public speaking engagements and presentations. You may also feel the desire to reassess your career goals. And in order to ground this energy, to turn it to your advantage, it's important to focus on everything related to your professional fulfillment, ambitions, and career growth. And perhaps it is during this transit that you will change, for example, your field of activity and start working in a new position, launch some new project, startup, or business. And what's more, there will be a distinctly emotional tone to all of this. That is, it's important here to show more care, attention, and emotion. For example, you might create a comfortable work environment or talk through some of your feelings related to your professional activities, or say plan your professional goals. And all of this should bring you genuine emotional satisfaction. In any case, I wish you success. Scorpio's Mercury in Cancer is transiting through your 9th house of the horoscope, bringing to the forefront topics related to higher education, learning, and expanding your knowledge. In addition, this is a time for long-distance trips, travel, and exploring new cultures. This is also a good period for studying, for example, philosophy, religion, or certain spiritual practices. Anything that changes your worldview, your beliefs, and your ideals comes into play. During this transit, legal and judicial matters, as well as paperwork, can be resolved successfully. And all of this will be accompanied by strong emotions. There may also be situations related to moving or returning to your homeland, since this is, after all, the sign of Cancer. It's a kind of family story. There may be an exchange of experience with people from abroad, from other countries and cultures. And overall, the theme of searching for the meaning of life or setting new life goals will be relevant for you. The transit itself will create situations where you may want to delve deeper, for example, into studying your family history, or enroll in a university program related to traditions, culture, or ancestry. In other words, anything connected to the past, to memory, perhaps again to family matters or national history, certain spiritual traditions, or the history of your ancestors. Here you feel drawn to embark on journeys that are not just for relaxation, but, so to speak, for inner transformation, for the rest and renewal of your soul. You might want to travel to ancestral places, to nature, to places of power, or to locations with a religious atmosphere where you can learn something new about another culture or foreign languages, for example. And in addition, you may meet a mentor, someone who will change your beliefs. There will also be situations related to legal or educational documents. This could involve the legalization of documents, moving abroad, or enrolling in an international university. There will be situations involving the exchange of information with foreigners and a lot of interaction with people from abroad. And in order to ground this energy, pay attention to these areas of your life. Go towards these situations. Additionally, if written practices are relevant for you, write down your impressions, feelings, and ideas, as these will help you make new personal discoveries. You can practice meditation, connect with your ancestry, delve deeper into studying philosophy, foreign languages, or spiritual practices, and of course, set off on long journeys. They always have a positive influence on us. I wish you success. Sagittarius. Mercury in Cancer is moving through your 8th house of the horoscope, which relates to shared resources, your partner's finances, and issues involving loans. In addition, this can also trigger internal, personal, and deep crises on the level of your thinking. This is about psychology, about deep-seated fears, and about profound desires. Here, secrets, mysteries, and hidden information may come to light. Issues related to inheritance, debts, insurance, various payments or benefits may become relevant. Additionally, conversations about the intimate side of life and intimate relationships in your personal life may come to the forefront. Overall, the 8th house is about the theme of rebirth or transformation. Therefore, this transit may create situations where you uncover some hidden information that, for example, affects your finances or your relationships. You might receive some news about debts, inheritance, joint accounts, or certain insurance payouts. Sometimes this will be an unexpected truth that brings emotional upheaval and makes you reconsider some of your plans and decisions. There may be very deep, intense conversations with your partner or a close person about fears, desires, certain hidden motives, or past emotional traumas, and talking things through open and honest can truly help restore harmony, or on the contrary, bring some relationships to an end. There may also be situations related to resolving issues of finances, debts, taxes, insurance, or inheritance. And you will need to really think through what steps to take in order to resolve these situations to your advantage. And the 8th house is the house of esotericism. You may delve deeper into studying esotericism, and some new information could bring you a flood of revelations and insights, which will provoke certain emotions. In order to ground this energy, pay attention to these areas of your life. That is, finances, your personal relationships, your personal crises and transformations, and topics related to esotericism. You can use meditation and breathing exercises here to ground yourself, keep a journal, resolve your debts, or have heartfelt conversations with your partner in order to harmonize your personal relationships. Well, I wish you success. Capricorns. Mercury in Cancer is transiting through your seventh house of the horoscope, which concerns all your relationships, interactions, partnerships, yes, interactions, topics of marriage, contracts, agreements, legal matters with your business partners, any communications, any negotiations within a couple. This is about the balance between I and WE. This is about mutual support and care in relationships. These are situations where we see our own reflection in other people. And this transit is also very good for resolving any conflicts, for making compromises. At the same time, these situations will be very emotional because, after all, this is the sign of Cancer. The transit will create situations where you will have very deep, emotionally charged conversations with your partners. And you may notice that communication with your partner during this transit becomes more intimate or more intense, filled with feelings. So if before they were superficial, now they will become more emotionally profound. Conversations about family matters, the past, and each other's emotional needs are possible. There may also be situations where you sign important contracts, agreements, or deals with clients, business partners, and even up to an official marriage. There will be situations where you will be reassessing the overall balance in your personal relationships. Who needs what and how to support each other. There will also be topics of discussion related to home, family, and, for example, creating a shared household. And during this transit, it will be possible to resolve any conflicts or misunderstandings very well, specifically through gentle communication. In order to ground this energy, pay attention to all types of your interactions and relationships with partners, whether it's your personal life, business sphere, your clients, or even your open adversaries. Conflicts with them can also be resolved during this transit. The main thing here is to focus specifically on your relationships and to approach them more from an emotional standpoint, using gentle strength, communicating more sincerely, and honestly expressing your feelings and true emotions. I wish you success. In Cancer is transiting through your sixth house of the horoscope. These are topics related to your work, daily responsibilities, your health, routine, and overall well-being. This is about organizing your day, about planning your everyday tasks. It's also about your relationships with colleagues, subordinates, and management. The sixth house also covers skills. When we improve our qualifications in the context of professional self-fulfillment. In the sixth house, topics of self-care, caring for those around you, and even for pets become relevant. Overall, this transit will create situations where you start paying attention not only to the technical aspects of your work, but also to the emotional atmosphere within your team. Here, the themes of support, understanding your colleagues' needs, or creating a positive work environment become especially important. You may also encounter situations that require increased attention to your health, well-being, and stress levels. In other words, situations may arise where you need to reduce stress, perhaps reconsider your daily routine, diet, or habits. You might consider starting a healthy lifestyle. It's worth reviewing, for example, your daily schedule or planning your day with your emotional states in mind. Perhaps you could create a more comfortable atmosphere at work. There will also be situations where you discuss work tasks with colleagues or subordinates. And this will specifically involve discussing emotions, your own emotions and those of your professional circle, especially in the workplace, in order to increase overall efficiency, enhance collaboration, and make it more productive. It's a good time to start learning, for example, to improve some of your professional skills or say, to delve into studying nutrition or occupational psychology. In other words, anything that helps improve your life. It's also beneficial here to take care of cleanliness and order, because all of this will bring you emotional calm. To ground the energy of this transit, pay attention to your daily routine, your health, your pets, or your interactions with colleagues. You can do writing practices, jot down ideas, new concepts, maybe introduce new habits, or change your daily schedule. All of this will help ground the energy. In addition, sports, physical activity, or even just simple walks are relevant here. I wish you success. Pisces, Mercury in Cancer is transiting through your 5th house of the horoscope. And this is about creativity, your self-expression, your romantic relationships and flirting, and your relationships with your children, if that's relevant for you. Topics like hobbies, entertainment, and gambling also fall under the 5th house. Here, new ideas for projects and inspiration appear. Here, your emotional expression may manifest specifically through creativity. And for you, this transit will create situations where you feel the need to express your feelings through art, through music, or any creative form, so to speak. Ideas will come not from the mind, not from reason, but from the depths of your emotions. And this will make your self-expression more sincere, more sensual. During this period in this transit, conversations about love and relationships are possible, and all of this becomes very warm, very supportive. There is an understanding of yourself and your partner here. You will show more care, more sensitivity, and you will be able to perceive signals from your partner with greater emotional depth. If you have children, you will want to give them more attention, spend more time with them, take better care of them, share their interests and plans, and learn about their needs. In other words, you'll feel like participating in children's activities. In addition, this transit is a good time to start creative initiatives or projects, or to take up a new hobby that has a strong emotional component. To ground this energy and channel it positively for yourself, you can, for example, write down your ideas or feelings that help you first and foremost to express yourself. Any ideas related to creativity, yes. Any project concepts that have a creative component. Here it's important either to record or to initiate. It's also very beneficial to pay attention to your partner in your personal relationships, or of course to devote time to your children. In other words, everything that falls under the 5th house of the horoscope, spending more time enjoying yourself and finding joy. It's good to take water treatments, walk by the water, and enjoy life. I wish you success. Subscribe, like, and share this video.